We've been talking about this all morning. Nuclear disaster in Japan seems to have made its way to the Bay State. Last week, rainwater was tested, and there were traces of radioiodine in it. However, public health officials are stressing this is not a public health risk. However, I think all of us would agree it's a bit unsettling. Here to sort this out for us is MIT Professor of Nuclear Science and Engineering, Ian Hutchinson. Sir, thank you for coming in to see us this morning.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Sir, do you find it unusual that traces of radiation would be found in the rainwater?
Not at all. Radiation is a completely natural part of our background. The human body has a substantial amount of natural radiation in it. The only reason we know that this particular radiation came from the nuclear reactor site is because it's a particular type of radiation that comes from this particular type of iodine, and we can identify it through specific tests.
So you have just answered my next question, which was going to be, how would we know this radioactive substance actually comes from Japan?
Right, so this particular isotope of iodine lasts for about 8 days. That's its half-life. After 3 weeks, it's almost completely died away. And so we know this particular isotope was generated quite recently, and that's why there's good evidence that it probably came from the Japanese reactor.
So at this point, would you agree with public health officials when they say that this is not a problem for the general public?
Absolutely. There's no danger to the health whatsoever. The level of radiation that they've been able to detect is just a few disintegrations of nuclei per liter per second. By comparison, if you think about the natural radioactivity that occurs in our own bodies, there are something like 7,000 such disintegrations per second taking place completely naturally. So compared to what happens naturally in the human body, this is completely negligible.
Okay, and that goes for the water sources as well, right? Our drinking water?
Absolutely. Even if you took that concentrated rainwater, it has no danger whatsoever. But actually, the rainwater goes into the water supplies and is diluted even further by many thousands or maybe even millions of times. So it's completely negligible, and we shouldn't be worried in the slightest for our health in America.
Now, Professor, if it gets worse in Japan, can we anticipate higher levels of radioiodine in the rainwater?
There may be slight rises in the level of iodine, but again, it won't be to the level which poses any risk to the American public. There simply isn't going to be any risk from iodine radiation in the U.S. I don't think even on the worst possible scenario.
Okay, so at no point do you anticipate this is going to be an issue for our health here?
It isn't, and if you've bought iodine tablets, just put them on in the bathroom cabinet shelf and wait till they expire and then throw them away. They're not necessary.
In fact, taking them when you don't need them is not a good thing for you, is it?
You should always consult your doctor before taking things like this. It probably won't do you any harm, but don't say, I told you so. Just put them in the bathroom cabinet and leave them.
Professor, I think you've made everybody feel a lot better about this situation this morning. We very much appreciate you being here on the Fox 25 Morning News.
It's a pleasure.
All right.